Tennessee. She was up on the cushion, pushing the 11. I was cruising for the 33. Running wide open, school in the bars, slinging mud across the county line. Finding a groove and making a move, she turned a lap in record time. Ever seen an angel in a fire suit? Sexy from a helmet to a Nomex boots. Tearing up the track, sideways in the mud, driving through the badlands of love. The boys like the rubber benders, try to get her up against the wall. She don't play checkers or records, but she's ready if you want to brawl. Jenna gives the boys white knuckles, cause she likes to take them on 3 wide. And she don't mind grinding some metal, yeah, she gets hot when the sparks start to fly. Ever seen an angel in a fire suit? Sexy from a helmet to a Nomex boots. Tearing up the track, sideways in the mud, driving through the badlands of love. Take a little break between the heats to spend a little time between the sheets. Back to the track and get on with the show. An 800 horsepower rodeo. Between the heats, to spend a little time between the sheets. Back to the track and get on with the show. An 800 horsepower rodeo.
Here comes car number 1. Oh my goodness, as she takes that car to the top shelf, she has made her way to the top line. She is absolutely flying.
She's up on the wheel with the devil in her eyes and a little dirt on her face. Belt in tight, ready for a fly, wearing outlaw leather and lace. Ever seen an angel in a fire suit? Sexy from a helmet to a Nomex boots. Tearing up the track, sideways in the mud, driving through the badlands of love. Next time I saw Jenna was at a track and saluted VA. I said, I'll run the crew if you want me to. She blew a kiss and said, okay. Now we're riding down the road together, and we fit just like a racer's glove. Driving in deeper, making time in the sleeper, driving through the badlands of love. Ever seen an angel in a fire suit? Sexy from a helmet to a Nomex boots. Tearing up the track, sideways in the mud, driving through the badlands of love. Ever seen an angel in a fire suit? Sexy from a helmet to a Nomex boots. Tearing up the track, sideways in the mud, driving through the badlands of love. First time I saw Jenna was at a dirt track in Tennessee. She was up on the cushion, pushing the 11. I was cruising for the 33. Running wide open, school in the bars, slinging mud across the county line. Finding a groove and making a move, she turned a lap in record time. Ever seen an angel in a fire suit? Sexy from a helmet to a Nomex boots. Tearing up the track, sideways in the mud, driving through the badlands of love. The boys like the rubber benders, try to get her up against the wall. She don't play checkers or records, but she's ready if you want to brawl. Jenna gives the boys white knuckles, cause she likes to take them on 3 wide. And she don't mind grinding some metal, yeah, she gets hot when the sparks start to fly. Ever seen an angel in a fire suit? Sexy from a helmet to a Nomex boots. Tearing up the track, sideways in the mud, driving through the badlands of love. Take a little break between the heats to spend a little time between the sheets. Back to the the track and get on with the show. An 800 horsepower rodeo. Between the heats, to spend a little time between the sheets. Back to the track and get on with the show. An 800 horsepower rodeo.
Here comes car number 1. Oh my goodness. As she takes that car to the top shelf, she has made her way to the top line. She is absolutely flying.
She's up on the wheel with the devil in her eyes and a little dirt on her face. Belted tight, ready for a fight, wearing outlaw leather and lace. Ever seen an angel in a fighter suit? Sexy from a helmet to a nomad boots. Tearing up the track, sideways in the mud, driving through the balance of love. Next time I saw Jenna, was at a track and saluted the A. I said, I'll run the crew if you want me to. She blew a kiss and said, okay. Now we're riding down the road together, and we fit just like a racer's glove. Driving in deeper, making time in the sleeper, driving through the balance of love. Ever seen an angel in a fire suit? Sexy from a helmet to a nomad boots. Tearing up the track, sideways in the mud, driving through the balance of love. Ever seen an angel in a fire suit? Sexy from a helmet to a nomad boots. Tearing up the track, sideways in the mud, driving through the balance of love. First time I saw Jenna was at a dirt track in Tennessee. She was up on the cushion, pushing the 11. I was cruising for the 33. Running wide open, school in the bars, flinging mud across the county line. Finding a groove and making a move, she turned a lap in record time. Ever seen an angel in a fire suit? Sexy from a helmet to a nomad boots. Tearing up the track, sideways in the mud, driving through the balance of love. The boys like the rubber benders, try to get her up against the wall. She don't play checkers or records, but she's ready if you want to brawl. Jenna gives the boys white knuckles, because she likes to take them on 3 wide. And she don't mind grinding some metal, yeah, she gets hot when the sparks start to fly. Ever seen an angel in a fire suit? Sexy from a helmet to a nomad boots. Tearing up the track, sideways in the mud, driving through the balance of love. Take a little break between the heats, to spend a little time between the sheets. Back to the track and get on with the show. An 800 horsepower rodeo. Between the heats, to spend a little time between the sheets. Back to the track and get on with the show. An 800 horsepower rodeo.
Here comes car number 11. Oh my goodness. As she takes that car to the top shelf, she has made her way to the top line. She is absolutely flying.
She's up on the wheel with the devil in her eyes and a little dirt on her face.
Oh, yes, she's up on the wheel with the devil in her eyes and a little dirt on her face. Belted in tight, ready for a fight, wearing outlaw leather and lace. That's my girl.
No.
No, not you.
It's
Well,
an audio girl.
No. Well, I'm betting on her.
Well,
I made her up.
that's right.
Or did I make her up? Yeah, I made her up. Where did we get the idea for a female driver? Jean? No.
I really don't remember.
Just another one of them songs.
Happy Tuesday, children of the
Yes,
lawn.
indeed. Happy Tuesday, children of the lawn. I am...
Gail made it to the right party tonight.
Lucky you. Because you don't want to miss the party.
Well, she wasn't here.
Where
half
was she?
the night
Where'd you go last night?
She went in through another way.
Oh,
Nobody
oh.
was there.
Oh, I see how it is. Okay, well,
She went to the wrong party.
I've done that. Go to the wrong room, you wind up staying there for 3 or 4 days, and it's like, what?
Not me.
No, not you.
Not me.
Not you.
I always found the right party in the right room.
Well, that's true. It is one of your natural gifts as a superhero.
Like a truffle pig.
Party girl.
Gail said she was lonely. I bet you were.
How do you think it
It's
is
not
out
like
here?
you haven't been coming here for 2 years.
Yeah, so just come here. You know, and I'll tell you what, the only reason...
You need to tell the joke now, Steve.
Which joke?
About the wife.
What?
Dementia.
The what?
Dementia. The one you told today?
I'm not telling that. I
Why
didn't
not?
tell that.
Gail went into the wrong room after
Okay.
2 years.
I'm going to say if that's a...
Okay.
nah,
Never
I don't-
mind.
nah.
Never
No,
mind.
I'm not making any dementia jokes. Not in
You
public.
just
Not in public. I can do what I want on the phone with people I know that
okay.
I trust
All
that are
right.
equally as sinister.
Oh, Michael was there with her. Michael, you lost your way too.
And she was still alone? What does that tell us?
Ah! She was
That's not a
lonely.
good sign.
No.
So let's...
And Michael, how did you end up there with her?
Yeah, how did you end up there with her?
You're always in the right place.
I mean, you know, look, I'm just trying to grow the show up. The reason I put it on Twitch and 2 YouTube channels and wherever else, Angus's Corner, which is a big draw, the group. I don't
oh,
have
that's
a-
what it was.
What?
She went into Angus's corner, and he brought her in through.
Was he facing the wall with a cone on his head?
That's where she went, and she didn't get brought over to here. Let's keep following Angus.
Yeah.
You'll get lost for sure.
Yes, indeed. So, let's see. What other exciting facts? Well, okay. Finished all of the backing videos for the documentary, the Roy Orbison documentary. There are 20 stunning panoramic videos. And we locked down the opening section today. And it's going to be good. It's really going to be, good. I'm sorry I won't see it. But if you go, maybe we can broadcast it live. You never know. Anyway. Are you going? Well. So you're not even going if the dog goes. And he would go.
Well, he loves Dr. Bruce.
He does love Dr. Bruce.
Yeah. But I think he would rather be with me.
He'll rather be with you.
That's right.
My dog doesn't run around, doesn't bark at everything he sees.
Yes, he does.
Yes, he does.
Michael.
He's funny. He barks. He gets like ready to get into a fight with the big red balls outside of Target.
Yes.
Holy shit! He goes through some changes, and this has been going on for years. Driving to, usually I stay in the car with him because in the summertime,
You need the air conditioner
you
on.
need the air conditioner on, and he's got to go everywhere with us because that's just the way it is. It's what it's.
But he rides with his head out the window in the parking lot.
Head out the window, but he looks backwards.
Yeah. When
Like
we're
you would think he
driving.
would lean on the back seat, right? Because it's a four-door. It's, You would think he would lean, but no, he leans on the front seat,
And
like
looks
looking backwards, and then glances forward every once in a while.
People like ride up next to us and laugh.
They start laughing at him, but yeah. So
So,
I'll drop Laurie off at Target, and I'll go around the parking lot. I mean, I stay away from the evil red balls now, but but just one time because Beanie used to like to ride through the parking lot. He was happier if you put the window down and kept driving, he would have a good time because he wasn't a real action dog. He was a lover, not a fighter. Liked to swim, but he was way more mellow than Nutjob. So we'd be driving. I'd drop Laurie off. I'd be going around the parking lot, and I'd come around, and here comes the first big red ball. And all of a sudden, I see the dog do this, and the thing on his neck goes up, and he starts going, "Oh, oh, oh, oh." And so I go by, and as I go by, he follows the thing by, right? And I said, "He's barking at those balls." And so I said, "Uh-oh, here comes another one." So by the time I've done this 4 or 5 times, Laurie's coming out, and the dog's like going nuts on these red balls outside of Target. And
Oh, well, Gail says Kaylee goes everywhere with her, too. She's perfect. Doesn't bark at other dogs. And she loves walking through the airport with her head up.
Well,
that's not Remy.
Ours will talk to anybody at any time about anything.
Yeah.
He sees things. If he sees something moving, like one of those balloon people, these guys that are out in front of the
Yeah.
head shop or whatever it is they have.
Usually a tire shop.
No. Isn't it a vape shop?
Oh,
I don't know. You know the guy, right?
the blow-up thing.
Yeah. He's got the fan on the bottom of his head.
Barks at those. He barks at.
Barks at those.
Oh, he
Barks at
barks at-
Santa.
Yeah, one of those blow-up Christmas trees at Walmart.
If
I
it
was
moves,
outside. Yep.
You get, and it's like what do you think you're doing?
Our guest will be here in a minute.
Oh.
He is Steve Altman.
Yeah, did you not see the thing? Here, look. Ooh, no, not that thing. This thing. There he is.
Yes.
He's had an interesting career. Plays DW. I guess that's an endorsement, so we'll talk about that. That's him and Marshall Crenshaw.
Marshall Crenshaw.
And that's him playing a nice Yamaha kit. So there you go.
Right. But now he works, I think, with Iron Maiden still.
Well, we're going to find out. That's why we have him on the show.
Exactly.
To answer all the questions that we have.
Oh, and I see our lawn chairs are out.
Well, they're always out there for the guest. Always got there's an extra chair there. You can sit down. And don't worry, that lawn merch is coming, kids. In fact, maybe we should talk to Gene. The guy, the song that I played at the top of the set, Badlands of Love, I wrote the music with Mark, and I wrote the lyrics with Gene Ullman. Now, Gene has been my t-shirt guy for a while. He's got a great, amazing business out on Long Island, huge factory, a huge facility, and then he's got trucks, and he goes and does the events at races.
Yeah, that's why you wrote
dirt
that.
track. So that's why we wrote the dirt track song, because go figure, I would be the one to turn it into a female dirt driver, but it's kind of fun, and so Gene gave me all the vernacular. I said, what are the things that they would say, and because I don't know anything about. Oh, never mind. I know something about dirt track racing. There he is. It's always fun to. There he is. You there?
Hey, how are you, man?
Good. How are you?
Oh, great. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being had.
Okay.
I've
been had quite a few times. So.
Well, listen, you're a brother in the business. I would expect nothing less, right?
Yeah.
Where in the world are you with that nice view?
I am in fabulous downtown Hollywood, directly in between Miami and Fort Lauderdale, and about a
Oh,
mile in the downtown area, about a mile in from the beach. It's a fantastic area. Yeah, I love it. It's great.
I thought you were going to give me L.A. when you said Hollywood.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've done that. I lived there. I prefer this one.
Yeah, I've been there. I played there as a kid at the Agora Ballroom, I think it was.
Sure, sure. Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah,
yeah,
that was an interesting run back in the '80s, early I think '81, I think.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, the Agora turned into the Button South, and that was just like the Agora continued. The different owners, they changed it around, but continued the legend. Huge rock venue up until probably, I don't know, about 15 years ago.
Yeah, no, that was. I remember. It's funny because I've been in this game for my whole life. I mean, as long as I could be in anything, I've been in this. And to
Sure.
see how things changed, I remember when there was no Agora, and then I remember the first time I heard about the Agora Ballroom. Then I heard about the new one that's opening over here, and now
Sure,
there's
sure.
15 of them or whatever it was. There's one in
Yeah,
Philly, and it's just amazing how those little empires kind of come.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
So, how what's up for you now? What have you been doing during this wonderful couple of years off?
Oh, well, it's just like for everybody. Hopefully, hopefully the majority of it's in the rear view mirror, but it's been a wacky time. It's been a challenging time. It's been good, it's been bad. It's the relaxation part of it, especially in the beginning was great. I mean, it was a little like everybody else is a little freaked out, but I'm thinking like, this is great. I can stay home. I can watch movies. I put on a mask. I live across the street from a park. I take my dog across the street and play with him and come
Oh,
home.
whoa,
And
we need it. Where's the dog? We need to see the
Yeah.
dog.
dog. Okay, hang on, guys.
Take your time. Take your time. Always got time for a dog.
That's right.
Oh, road case.
Oh,
Oh,
Boston
So
Terrier.
this is Frankie.
Frankie.
He's cute.
Frankie is 16 months old, and yeah, he'll probably be somewhat of a guest tonight. But
He's more than welcome. Always more than welcome.
Yep.
yeah,
I have. Where's ours? Ours is.
I'm-
I love
just-
the Boston
I'm going to
Terrier.
send him back to the green room now.
Yeah, by all means. He's going to get to the
So
hospitality.
cute,
All
though.
right, don't get too drunk in here, okay?
Yeah, take it easy, but don't drink
Frankie!
all the Remy.
Hey, Frankie.
Okay. He's waving. He's waving. He's waving.
Take care, Frankie. It's all right.
Everybody's
We'll see
saying
you
how
back
cute
there.
he is.
Thank
So
you.
what's in the road case?
What's in the road case? You know what? I've got my storage was expanding, so there is a Marshall 4x12 in this
Do
case, and the one you can't see is a case that's filled with percussion crap.
Oh, I have one of those. I have
Oh,
several
yeah.
of those.
Yeah, so I'm in an apartment, so and I do have a pretty cool storage in the build. I'm on the 16th floor. On the 5th floor, I have a storage, but the way I moved everything around,
Yeah, you're not
Once
leaving the
everything
marshal
fits,
down there.
so here we go. So I'm
Don't leave the marshal down there. Believe
I'm
me.
so- yeah, and the funny thing is that Marshall, I owned a backline company, so I had gear all over the place. But that particular Marshall, I had bought from Billy Squire probably 25 years ago. And the cool thing on the back is I love a lot of the 70s bands. It's got the big Piper logo on the back,
All right.
and I'm friends with the drummer, Richie Fontana. And he couldn't get over it. He was like, "Oh, couldn't believe it." And it just happened that way. But it's a great cabinet. If you're guitar players, it's my God, it's 100 years old, and it's got the 25-watt, really rare greenbacks in it. So here it
Oh,
is. So
that's cool.
yeah. So at the moment it's living in my office, but I've got to find a
Hey,
place.
you know what? It makes a great TV stand because it's got wheels. You can move it around. Trust me, I had a Wizard 4x12 in my studio, and
Okay.
I thought, man, this could be functional for a lot of different things.
Yeah.
you know, but throw a tablecloth over it.
That's right. That's right. That's right. But it's on borrowed time. I've already been told that stuff has got to figure it out. It's got to go back to the storage. So
How did you come to get it from Squire?
you know, I'm trying. I was trying to remember when I told Richie about it. I think I think his company was Little Night Productions, and with the Backline company, we had a lot of vintage stuff. We were kind of like shouldn't say this because they own my old company now, but we were kind of like SIR. We were like the custom shop of SIR. We had
that.
like a huge rare vintage department. It was either vintage or it was brand new. We worked directly with all the manufacturers. We were the artist relations center for a lot of the manufacturers. But with this stuff, I think we bought up a bunch of stuff from his company.
Yeah,
And this happened to be one of them. Yeah, and this happened to be one of them. And this was just one of those things, and I don't want to name drop, but every big name from Lenny Kravitz to Jimmy Page to whoever was like, we'd send a lot of stuff to the studios, especially down here, Criteria, or in the Bahamas, Compass Point. This is the one thing like, oh, just send us a bill for it. We want to buy this. And I'm, sorry, we, go to the music store. We don't sell things. Anyway, so long story short, this kind of stayed with me when I sold the company.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I got like a little closet full of stuff, some of my old Endorsey stuff myself, some IRC stuff, but I got a closet full of some good shit.
Must be a big closet.
No, not really, not really. And it's gotten smaller as the years go by, because I look at stuff going like, who am I kidding? I don't need this anymore.
That's what I tell Steve. You should tell him.
I have so much stuff
that he hasn't played since the 70s.
Yeah,
he does not need it anymore.
But the thing,
but you might need it one day, though. It might,
he does not need it.
Well, but they're not just. I mean, in my mind, they're not just regular drum sets. These are custom-made, one-of-a-kind kits that I played in that most halcyon years of my career. 2 sections of my career, but the truth is, if I got hit by a car tomorrow, nobody's going to know what it is or where it goes. And
I'd probably have to put it out to the curb.
I would rather. I would rather, see them wind up somewhere where they'll at least tell a story, and they're they're massive though. I mean, they are. Every one of my kits was like stupid big,
but I look at it like this: if Monty Hall shows up at your door and says, "I'll give you $100 if you've got a Ludwig 1978 Black Beauty snare drum," you'll lose out on that $100 if that was the particular piece that you let go.
Yeah, exactly.
Monty Hall's dead, though.
Yeah, Monty Hall. Yeah.
Okay, the ghost of Monty Hall. Okay.
Ghost of Monty Hall.
That was a good show.
Let's make a seance.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Let's make a spirit. Yeah.
So I saw you playing DWs. I saw you playing Yamahas.
I did. Yeah. I was really lucky. I first got hooked up with Yamaha in the probably the early 80s, early to mid 80s. And I got really lucky, and I loved the recording customs, and that's what they were really pushing at the time. And honestly, one of the best kits I've ever played on. I think my favorite snare drum, which is down in the storage room, is a wood recording custom 8x14 that literally sounded like one of the overly produced 80s records without doing anything with it. It was just like deadly. And so I was really lucky. I hooked up with them early. I got picked up by Peisty early. And it kind of went on from then. I eventually I switched to DW and Sabian, And,
Wait, I got to stop you there because we can't go through the inventory too fast because I have questions.
okay, sure.
8-inch deep snare drum, right?
Yeah.
Are you playing match grip or conventional?
Match grip.
Okay.
I really was never. I got thrown out of band in junior high school, which ended my formal music education. And after that, it was just I don't know if it was the power in my wrists or whatever, or probably more to the fact that I was just talking to a friend about this recently. When and you probably think the same way. When we would go to concerts, we're so impressionable. It just looked like everybody was beating the shit out of their drums, whether they were playing that hard or it was just the illusion of it. But so I think, in my mind, I'm going to the concert last night. I'm in my parents' basement the following day trying to figure out what it was I just saw. And I think just part of me was just like would hit so hard, and I turned into one of those guys, not purposely, but so yeah. So I just thought everything was, some of my drummer heroes were not even the big famous guys, but everybody just seemed to play with that intensity. That's what I think that's what I was subconsciously mirroring.
Well, I'll tell you how it happened to me. Because
your story sounds exactly like his.
Your story.
You got thrown out of
I
band.
got thrown out of band, but I got thrown out, and it was junior high school, and I got thrown out for taking a snare solo as we walked by the review stand. So
nice.
Okay, I am one of those guys. I'm an overplayer and way proud of it. You know what I mean? I get paid by the note, and it's
get paid by the note.
But the reason I asked you about the snare is because the whole center of my world is my snare, and I do play with a conventional left hand. And,
okay.
And I go for that pop, but because I like to riff and do stuff. I needed to respond. But as far as the power is concerned, I think I'm like 9 years older than you are, something like that. And so when I first heard Jimi Hendrix back in the 60s, and I'm hearing all these stories from, I'm 12 or 14, whatever it is, and I'm hearing all these stories. Oh yeah, he records with 3 Marshall stacks, and I'm thinking to myself, well, Mitch Mitchell must be the strongest guy in the world. So I go out and I get myself I took my lessons with 5As, right, in elementary school.
Okay.
And this is just not going to work. So I go from 5A jazz sticks to 3S parade sticks and give myself tendonitis in both wrists, right?
He thought the bigger the stick,
the
louder the bang.
But I'm thinking, how does Mitch Mitchell keep up with this guy? How can they hear him in the studio? Because I have been in the studio, and if somebody in the room was playing that loud, you wouldn't be able to hear. And so that's how it happened to me.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, because I had, look, when we were little kids, we had when they started using them, we had no conception of monitors. We just assumed that they were beating the crap. Everybody was playing with an intensity, so the people in the back of the arena would feel that or hear that. We had no idea that that everybody had their. As time went on, everybody had their own monitor mix. Half these guys were tapping when it looked like they were really hitting. So yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. That's my favorite. One of my favorite sounds in the world, besides my wife's laugh, is that's Laurie, by the way.
Hi, Laurie. Hi, Laurie.
Remotely.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
One of my favorite sounds in the world is the way a tight snare drum sounds in an arena.
Yeah,
And it's not just reverb and it's not just ambience. There's something that happens to that sound when it's coming. It's almost got like a phase to it.
Absolutely.
It's my favorite sound ever. My favorite artificial sound. Anyway, so now let me tell you my Peisty story to corroborate the hitting hard.
Okay.
When Peisty first came out, they had this deal. You crack one of our cymbals, we'll replace it for $1.
Okay. Wow.
Do you remember that by any chance?
I do remember. I do remember something like that. Yeah, for sure.
Well, he worked at Sam Ash in the city, remember?
Oh,
I did.
Right.
Well, you know what? I got to say, guys, and drummers of the world, don't hate me for this, but I sold guitars. I always played guitar, and I could not deal with the drummer thing 8 hours a day. I loved guitars, probably because I played. I've always been a writer, but I was never an on stage guy. So I think I had this romantic thing with guitars because it was kind of like not really what I did. And I always I worked at Manny's for a spell. I worked at Sam Goody's for a while, but I always sold guitars. I always knew the drum guys, of course, but and as time went on, I'd be playing, I'd come back to the store, everybody go like, "Hey man, how come you're not upstairs in the drum department?" I'm thinking, like,
Hey,
hey,
can't stand those guys.
I
I hate those guys.
and when I'm an old guy, I want to be able to hear. Yeah. So,
Well, my Peisty story is very simple. They started this thing, and I was always a Zildjian kid. My mother said, "Oh, Zildjian, Gene Krupa plays Zildjian." So, how she knew that, I'm not sure, but it's another show, I'm sure. So Peisty comes out with this thing, crack our cymbals, we'll replace it for $1. And I'm like, really? And this was the Black 2002s, this is the beginning. This is the beginning. And I'd get all new cymbals on Friday, go play Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and bring the whole set of cymbals back with like $8 on Monday and rebrass my set. And it used to do it because they were really brittle, and I play with my crash cymbals flat. So around it,
they were really taking.
It's getting a shock.
Yeah, Sam Ash and White Plains.
Yeah, Sam Ash and White Plains, and I did this for like almost 2 months. And they said, they're not doing it anymore. They don't have the dudes to sit.
Oh no.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Well, and I let me tell you what, I loved those cymbals. Nothing like a Black Tag 2002.
Yeah, but even now, you send them back your cracked cymbals.
Yeah.
You don't bring them to the store. You send them to Peisty.
No, I don't play Peisty. I endorse Zildjian.
Zildjian, I'm sorry. But I know he gathers up his cracked ones and sends them.
Yeah,
back to
I put them in I get a big cymbal safe, and when it gets full, I send them back, and they replace them with new stuff. And
Nice.
Yeah,
cool.
But
okay, and
so yes, and
you play Vader, and he plays Vic Firth.
Oh, you now? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was lucky. I think. So with Marshall Crenshaw and with Scandal, we did runs with Hall and Oates with both bands.
Whoa! Scandal when Benji was in the band?
Benji was in and out.
I know that.
Yeah, when I did it, Benji really wasn't there.
Okay.
So Mickey Curry, who was one of my favorites, introduced me one day during the day in catering to Kelly Firth and Dick's daughter, and they were great. And she set me up, and I loved them. And I think honestly, guys, I don't really play anymore. I living in an apartment, and I was never like not that there's anything wrong with it, of course, but I was never a cover band guy. So kind of, we can get into this because, a big part of my career is the business side. Kind of when that started happening, that's kind of when I started to bow out of it and kind of taper it off. And I'll get up at a benefit once in a while or this or that. There was just, in fact, the Button South, which used to be the Agora, they just had a reunion thing. So I got drafted. I played a little bit in the all-star band at the end of the night for that. But I don't play consistently anymore. I've had some back problems through the years. It's just not, unfortunately. Those are great times, but I just I rarely play at this point.
No, listen, you know what? There's a season for everything.
That's right.
And it's interesting. It's more, for me, it's more about the experience. I still play, and I still love to play, and I'm actually working on a new record, and but that's just that's where my road took me. I mean, I've done several other things as well, and continue to do several other things as well. But that's
Yeah.
always there, and it's it's always there. That's that's it's. If I was living in an apartment, believe me, it would be a totally different thing. But
Absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely.
I'm some guy comes over and knocks on my door at 2 in the morning, and I'm thinking, well, is this guy out of his mind? Thankfully for him, I was playing my drums.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, the thing about the Vic Firth Vader, Alan Vader thing. Do you know that story?
I do not. No.
Ah, well, I challenge you, my friend. The next time you're in a store that has drumsticks,
Okay.
check out a 5B Vic and a 5B Vader. It's the
Okay.
same stick. It's so mind-numbingly the same because, and if I'd love to know whether I have this wrong or not, but I don't think I do. Alan Vader used to work for Vic Firth,
I'm sure.
so that's where that whole whatever that technique is, and I just man those sticks, I just
Yeah.
love them, and I'm sure I would love Vic just as much because I've played them. It's the only other stick
Right.
feels
Right.
right. So,
Now, I've through the years, I've known them through business. A couple of artists that I'd work with endorsed them, so I know that I know them through business, not from playing myself. But I know it's a great company. In fact, my buddy Tommy McWilliams plays them right now, endorses them too, and I know that he raves about them. So I know it's good
yeah, they're
stuff.
great. Love them,
Yeah.
love them. So, and now Angus told me there's an Iron Maiden connection. I gotta.
Yeah. So as I kind of wrote in the bio I sent you, so what I was doing is when I had moved to the city, actually I was okay. So when I moved to the city, I started working at Sam Ash on 48th Street, of course, and I was lucky. I was playing around town, and I started getting road gigs and tours and fly-ins and things like that. And so what I would do was, I'd go out. I did 2 tours with Marshall Crenshaw. Now playing percussion, and mostly because his brother Robert was the drummer. But I would go out and we'd be on tour for 4 or 5 months, and then I'd come back to the city, and I would either go back to Ash or Manny's, depending on who needed what. I knew them both well. They were happy with me as an employee, as a guitar guy, and so I would go back and forth. And on one of the times, it had got a little repetitive, and at the end of one of those bands, I really learned the politics of the business, and quite honestly, how shitty it could be. And I just threw my hands in the air, and I'm like, fuck this, and at the time I had got to be friends with Steve Harris. I wasn't really a Maiden fan. Of course, I knew who they were, but my friend was the studio manager at Electric Lady, and she called me out of the blue one day, and she said, hey, could you do me a big favor? I'm like, sure, what's going on? She said, there's this English guy here in town that doesn't really know anybody, and he's here with his producer, who's Martin Birch, for God's sake, but he's older and they don't really socially hang out. Would you do me a favor and take him out for a beer? And I'm like, oh, my first reaction no, I think I was probably just tired or something. So I begged off, of course, for that day, and I ended up obliging her, and she was a dear friend and still is. And so I met him, and we just hit it off. And she told me, she goes, I'm like, why are you calling me? And she goes, because he reminds me of you. He's like the British version of you, sense of humor, whatever. So we just hit it off incredibly well. So fast forward to at a point of playing, the tour was finished with the band. I'm not going to badmouth anybody. I'll leave that anonymous. But it ended pretty quick.
Call me after the show.
Okay. So it ended kind of badly, and it was basically the record company wanted the singer to be the star and not be a band member. and everybody kind of got bounced at the end.
Wow!
Shocking.
What a strange occurrence that is. Let me ask you something. Did you hear about the singer who? What was it? Who had so much bravado that the other singers were talking about it?
But
Sorry, bad delivery. Go ahead.
So anyway, so he said to me, they were huge already. This was probably 83, 84. And he said, he goes, look, man, and like I'd mentioned in the bio, I wasn't a big party guy. I wasn't, whether we were on the bus or in hotels, I wasn't the guy staying up all night. That was really my thing. I'd be up early. I'd go down to the venue. It's an arena or it's a big theater or whatever. And it always, especially my first couple of tours, everybody thinks it's guys with ponytails and baseball hats and joints in their mouth. Even back in the 80s, that's a stereotype. It was run by professionals like a military operation,
Yeah, that's the way. That's the way
Yeah.
most bands of that stature are.
Sure.
AC/DC is the same way. The Who
Yeah.
is the same way. It's not,
Exactly. So I was always like, I was that always blew me away. So I'm the drummer and the support act. Everybody's nice to me. But I'm in the production office. Tell me why you do this. Why do you do that? Why with this, with that, with this? And so I was always interested in that side of things. And so back to Steve Harris, he said to me, he goes, look, man, he goes, because I was like, I don't want to fucking go back to working in a music store until I find my next tour, and he said, he goes, look, man, he goes, why don't you take a break from that? He said, we're gearing up. We need people. So long story short, I spoke to Rod Smallwood and Andy Taylor, the brain trust of Iron Maiden, their managers from Sanctuary Music. And I got hired. I was as his assistant, and I also handled on the road as the record company, management company liaison. The two guys that did the majority of the interviews, Bruce Dickinson, the singer, Steve Harris, the bass player. So I would basically keep them on track, mostly Steve, sometimes Bruce. Bruce had his own guy, but basically, if it was a radio station or TV station early in the morning, going from that back to the hotel, and there'd be 4 or 5 interviews lined up, then down to the arena, the same thing. We'd fly at night because we'd have to be there for the next morning because the whole thing would happen again in the next market. So I'm really grateful for that, because that really taught me not so much the production side, but the business side of the business, the interfacing with the labels, the politics, why things happen, why things don't happen. So I did that for a while, and I bounced back and forth between, working and playing. And I had moved down to, I had ended up, I didn't have to be in New York anymore. My mom and dad had moved down here to this amazing condo on the beach. And we'd have fly-ins. You've probably done these. You fly out on Wednesday or Thursday. You do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You fly home. And then, Thursday again, you're back out there, like fly-in tours. So I didn't have to be in New York. So I just started telling them, send me to Fort Lauderdale, send me to Miami. And, of course, all the guys in the band would they'd all be in New York stressed out in the middle of winter. And Mr. Hollywood would fly back from Florida with a tan because I laid on the beach for those 3 days instead of being miserable in Manhattan,
My favorite thing about living in Florida is going to Winter Nam.
Yeah.
White.
Yes, of course. So I'm very grateful for that. It kind of set the table for me, setting me up for my post-playing period when I really full-time jumped into the business side. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm grateful. I left, professionally playing under my own terms because, I had the backline company and I was juggling the two, and it just got to a point where
tough.
I had to lock into business because, I can't, I'd have people in the office working for the company, but I could not run my business from the road.
Well,
And
it's interesting. It's interesting that you you know guys who players, musicians, are always challenged with the other side of the coin. Do I
yeah,
work? Do I do it? This and that. And but it's interesting because as I'm listening to you speak, I realize that you prefer that as opposed to a guy who's bitching about having to go to work in his office just so he can play his gig for $100 on Friday night. It's nice when you land where you want to be because everybody doesn't do that. You see guys, and I'll tell you the biggest example of it. I was watching what's that? The Masked Singer. This was years ago,
okay, right,
and Wayne Brady was on it.
okay,
Right.
And Wayne Brady, if you know who he is, right there.
Sure.
It's like a game show.
He's a game show host.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the guy
Let's
is
make a
like
deal.
a singer, so amazing. And that was what his passion was. And when he was on this show singing and people were telling him, man, that's great, he was absolutely in tears because, the guy probably has a great contract with ABC and Universal.
absolutely.
But
He's saying
he
amazing.
but he was, so, everybody doesn't always,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I'm sorry. Please finish.
No, that's all. Everybody doesn't always land where they would like to be. So
Look
it's
at
Sure,
like Johnny
sure.
Depp
yeah.
Well, I'll tell you.
band.
I'll tell you the not the icing on the cake, but the thing for me too is that I had put together a band called Squadron, and we were based out of here and did really well. I think it's listed in the bio. Started touring with everybody pre-record deal, and then we were like we were kind of like an late 80s, early 90s hair band. Not so much the hairspray, but kind of Guns N' Roses and we got a deal with A&M. We got a spec deal with A&M, and as grunge was coming in, we never finished anything because us and just about everybody else on the hard rock side of their label got dropped because grunge was coming in, and the labels didn't even want to deal with it. And at that point, I was getting to the point where I was like, okay, I'm going to have to make a decision soon. And we had, we were about to open up in Atlanta. We were about to open up our second location. And with that happening, quite honestly, I was just like, okay, that's it. Must be an omen. And I'm done. And I literally went from, I know I sent you a bunch of pictures. I went from that long-haired, blonde-haired guy with hair down to my ribs to looking like the younger version of this, overnight. Because I said, okay, if I'm doing it, I'm doing it. I'm tired of flipping my hair in the shower, which I still automatically did for about a year.
And didn't you use too much shampoo the first time? Didn't you use like way too much shampoo?
But the flip, come on, Steve. Everybody does the flip. Yeah. I had nothing to flip, but psychologically, especially half asleep in the morning, I'm doing the flip because that's what I was programmed for the majority of my life.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny, man. Well, let me ask you, because we'll do a couple things. I have to pay the bills and play my commercials. But did Angus send you the questions?
He did. He kind of read some of them to me, but
don't even worry. As long as you got, it's no big. As long as you know they're coming. These are not earth-shattering questions.
Okay.
Although this could be consequences depending on the answers.
Okay.
And did he tell you about Free for All Friday?
He did tell me about Free for All Friday. He just did be on the warm-ups. Yeah, he did.
That's fun, man. I mean,
that'd be awesome.
Like, I've got guys calling in from backstage at Madison Square Garden before they're going on. Somebody was in the other night. It's really a trip. It's turned into just such a hang, and that's what the show is supposed to be. It's just supposed to be us hanging out in the green room or wherever, shooting the shit. And nobody wants to hear me play, songs on guitar or drums or whatever, and I love the stories and the culture.
I think he might want to hear you play Smoke on the Water.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't. Why would you say that?
Because he worked at Sam Ash in the
Oh, yeah,
guitar department.
Let me tell you guys this. This is how we wore. Being in Manhattan on 48th Street, which you guys are New Yorkers. You guys know how that was. You know.
We also know Richie and Sammy and
yes, absolutely. So, but you know, we'd stay open late for the Stars. I've sold guitars to the Stones and REM and Def Leppard, and my God, the list goes on and on. Lou Reed was this crazy neurotic guy, to be honest, who would only deal with me. And I don't know why, because I didn't look like the kind of guy that liked his stuff, but I was a nice guy, and you know, and God bless him, he was a little neurotic, and he latched on to me and made sure he knew when my days off were, and I'm not coming when you're not here, and
I get that, man. I totally get that. If a guy's, especially a guy like that, and an eccentric guy like that, if he's, you know, find somebody that makes you feel comfortable, it gets you closer to where it is you want to go.
Yeah. So, you know. But there are tons. If anybody cared, I have a book in me on just 48th Street. In fact, there's a guy, Jose Ferro. You know Jose?
I know the name.
Jose was the VP at ESP Guitars forever.
Oh yes, of course I do, because I had about a half a dozen ESP.
Okay, so he's been out of there for a while, and he's worked for some of the other companies. He's got his own. He's a bass player. He's got his own bass line now, Ferro Basses, and he lives in LA. And
I think I've heard of. Is that what? Wait a minute. Is that what Booker plays? I don't even. Man, I'll tell you what. We're going to get lost. But do you know Joe Berger? You must know Joe Berger, no?
I'm sure I do. I'm terrible with names and faces. Faces I never forget, but names, unless it's like in my thing all the time. But the name sounds familiar. I'm sure.
Yeah, well, he was a big ESP guy for a while, and he was the one guy who hooked me up. I mean, I had some of the most beautiful Strat body maple necks with flip-flop paint. Oh, they were gorgeous. But did you say you had a book out? Or
no. I was saying I have a great book in me. Yes, if anybody cared. But Jose and I were just, you know, we talk all the time, and we just reminisce about the stuff we used to get away with, and the stuff. I mean, just crazy stuff. I mean, if you got 2 minutes for this, I've got to go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. You.
I've got a great story. So myself and another guy that I worked with at the counter, and you remember Sam Ash. Nobody took a lunch. You ran out, got a sandwich. You came back, and you were eating it as you were waiting on people. So myself and this guy, Charlie, we go around the block to get a sandwich. And needless to say, we were a little irresponsible and smoked a little goodness on our break, and came back in. Yeah, came back in, and we'd answer the phones back then. Oh, Sam Ash, can I help you? I pick up the phone, and it's this American guy asking me questions about these new Fenders that had just come out. And I was, honestly, I was a little stoned, and he wasn't really. He was nice, but he didn't really know what he was talking about. He sounded like a business guy, and I hear this guy in the background. No, ask him this, ask him that, and finally the guy gets frustrated, and he goes, hang on. He must have said, give me the phone, and I'll do my best impersonation. It's not great, but he says he hands him the phone, and the guy says, he goes, hello, this is George Harrison. Now, I'm a huge even back then, I was a huge Beatle guy. And the wise ass in me kicked in, and I said, right, and this is Paul McCartney. And there's dead silence. And like when you're falling or you're hurting, it takes a second, but time kind of stops. So in that second, I'm like, holy shit. I just sold guitars to Ronnie Wood and Keith Richards the week before last. I sold Sting those white basses he played for years. I'm thinking and my manager, to be honest, was a jerk off. And I definitely got fired over that if that became a thing. So I'm starting to think oh my God, this is probably real. I just shot myself in the foot. And I said, look, man, we're real busy here. If you're George Harrison, that's great. I said, but one of the Beatles doesn't call all the time. Now I'm paraphrasing, but this is basically what I said. And there was just silence. And he just said, he goes, right out of Hard Day's Night, he's like, look, mate, I'm being real serious with you. And I said, okay. And I answered his questions. He told me what he wanted. The other guy gets back on the phone. He gives me the credit card, the whole thing. And he says, we'll be in New York in a couple of weeks. Can you get him to us? Yeah, no problem. Call me when you're going to be here. And long story short, I ended up taking him myself to the Plaza Hotel where they were. You know, I was in a checker after work, which a lot of us did that, especially with the stars. Paul Schaefer was one of my customers. Paul is the coolest guy in the world and would always tip me insanely and give me a joint when I'd see him.
Wow.
He lived downtown at the Gramercy Park Hotel. When Paul would need something, I would be like, no problem, Paul. He goes, can you bring it down to me? Can you? I said, yeah, absolutely, no problem. And he's a lovely guy. But so back to this. So he calls, the stuff comes in and special order stuff, and I talked to Fender, and they knew who it was for. So he got exactly what he wanted. And so the guy calls, and after work, I said, okay, great. I grab the guitars and I go over to the Plaza, and I'm thinking to myself, like, now this is just a business guy. I'm thinking to myself, like, I dodge the bullet once I get rid of this guy and I make sure he's not still mad or anything. So I go there and I'm thinking I'm going to leave them with the concierge. Why did, they were paid for. So the concierge calls up and says, and talks to him like, this gentleman's here with your stuff and blah, blah, blah. And the concierge says, he goes, can you come up? I said, okay, sure. So me and one of the bellmen with the cart go upstairs. We go to the manager's room, and we unload the stuff. The bellman disappears, and I said to him, I go, look, man, I am so sorry. I said, I had no idea. I said, come on. I said, what are the odds of talking to one of the Beatles on the phone? And he says, he goes, don't worry. He goes, we laughed for a week about that. He goes, you do a pretty good George and Paul. And so I nervously laughed with him. He said, hang on a second. He goes over to the phone in the room. He picks up the phone and he goes, hi. He goes, Paul McCartney's here with your guitars. And I'm like, he hung up the phone. He's coming down. I said, is he mad? He goes, no. He said, I told you, we laughed about that. He came down. Let me tell you something, guys. He was the nicest, coolest guy. They tipped me, not that I wanted it. I just, I was so jazzed to meet the guy. I sat with them for almost an hour. It was like us bullshitting. And he had an amazing sense of humor. I actually even smoked a joint with them. It was like probably to this day, like you, Steve, we've all met the stars. We've all worked with the stars. That's probably like one of my biggest things that here 100 years later, I still basically remember verbatim.
Oh,
and
That's listen, those, and it's funny because I've had moments like that and I talk about them on the show, and who was there to see it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And especially, I have stuff that happened that's so unbelievable that I was like, what? And no one is here? What? So anyway,
I always imagined George was really nice.
Yeah, I imagine he
like
was my. I used to dream as a little kid that I would be playing with Paul, but George was always my favorite Beatle. Yeah. And I'll segue to my commercial. I'll meet you back here in 40 seconds and get ready for the questions. No cheating.
Okay. All right. You got it.
All right. I'll see you short. Here we go.
Okay, cool.
And boom. Yes. Here we go.
Microphone.
Cool looking stuff, my friend. Cool looking
Yeah,
stuff.
thanks. I mean, that's what it's interesting. And again, we're almost out of time, but, the places that our careers take us, and
Yeah.
especially, I mean, mine has taken me to some great places, and being able to have the time in later years to do the fashion line and that whole thing. I love our business, man, no matter what part of it I'm in, and that's what this show is about. But here come the career defining.
Right.
Okay.
You've done some traveling. I know you have. I know you've been around the world here and there. And when you're going back to Rimskopf, you can't wait to eat at the Bavarian coffee shop, your favorite restaurant on the road, no matter what it is, where it is, favorite restaurant on the road.
Ooh, I'd say it's a toss up. There's a place I lived for a while outside of London in Essex in an area called Old Harlow that right where Steve Harris's main property was, and that was the little village near his house. And there's an amazing, amazing, amazing Indian place.
I knew you were going to say it. I knew it because
Yeah.
that's.
Yep.
That's your thing. That's your
Well,
thing.
mine is in Cheltenham, on
Okay.
Stone Wold, the Prince of India. Yeah.
Nice, nice, nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm tied for, and I know you guys are going to say, oh, it's a tourist trap, but I always loved the food. Mamma Mia's
Oh, okay.
I'm
No,
surprised you didn't
in the
say
city. Great
Whoa.
Italian.
Yeah, Laura said she was surprised you didn't say "whoa hop."
Oh, well, you know what? I didn't think about that, but that's on the honorable mention list for sure.
Oh, yeah.
It absolutely
Absolutely.
certainly is.
A lot of
Yeah.
people say, well,
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
do
So-
we know the name of the Indian food
Yeah,
place
what's the name
in,
of the-
Essex?
I want to say it's Mai Tai.
Mai Tai.
Yeah, like 2 words. I
Yep.
could
Yeah.
be wrong. I could be wrong. But we'd go there. We'd be working. We'd go there afterwards. They'd stay open late for us. It was great. It was great.
And what did you get?
I'm not a hot person. So for me, my favorite dish out of that stuff was always chicken korma or chicken tikka.
That's
I
mine.
knew it. That's hers.
Yeah.
I used to
chicken
go.
korma.
I used to go with Entwistle to the Prince of India.
Okay.
And he'd say, "Oh, try the vindaloo."
They like hot.
And,
Yeah.
and man, so I liked the spicy, but I couldn't take the fall and the vindaloo. So what I would do is I would get a chicken korma and a chicken vindaloo and mix them.
Yep.
Oh, very good. There you
Worked
go.
great.
There you go.
Worked
So
great.
whenever we go out
Yeah.
to eat and he gets the vindaloo, he mixes my korma with it.
Yeah, and
Okay, there you
and
go.
I went to this place so many times that they used to send me Christmas cards to America.
Yeah.
Wow. There you
Oh,
go.
yeah. Very proud.
Okay.
Okay, onward,
good answer.
onward. The set
My
list comes
tie.
out, and there it doesn't matter what band, doesn't matter what situation. There it is on the set list. Your favorite song to play or listen to live or whatever.
Gosh,
Favorite song in the
song
set
to
list.
play. Favorite song to play.
Yeah, favorite song to play.
Geez. I don't know. I'd have to say, geez. Probably, although it was short-lived for me, I'd have to say only because the reaction from the crowd would probably be the Warrior from
Oh, cool! Of
Alabama.
course. How cool is that?
and a lot of that is because of just the reaction. It was fresh then. It was like slamming up the charts, and it brings that back to me. I have to
That's
say.
a great song, yeah.
She's married to McEnroe, right? Or,
Yeah, now I don't think she
Yes,
was
yes.
Did he
I
ever
mean, I haven't talked to Patty in years, but no, she's very, very nice people. He's a cool guy. I knew him actually before he was with her because he was a fixture on the New York scene. Him and Vitas Gerulaitis wanted to be.
I
Yeah.
don't want to tell you how much trouble I got in with Vitas.
Okay.
I played. I was supposed to play with Vitas, John, and Gene Cornish at the annual party in
Okay.
Vale, I think it was.
Okay.
and it didn't happen for whatever reason. But yeah, and Vetus and I wound up spending a year together one night. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
He took you to the
Yes.
vault.
yeah, yeah, he, yeah.
You know
he
that
took
place,
me.
the
He took me to
vault,
the
that
vault in
sex
the city,
place?
Vetus, and it's like,
Oh my God.
oh man, let me
yeah.
tell you. And I'm like, oh yeah, sure,
I
yeah.
have I have some memories of him at the nursery where it was, remember the nursery?
Yeah.
Okay. So the nursery was one of those places, didn't even open till 4 a.m. And by the time things were still rocking at lunchtime the next day. I mean,
Yeah.
and you didn't know, everybody was like a vampire leaving there. Open up the door. There was a big red door. There's no signs or anything, just the red door. And you'd open up the door and daytime was going on. People were milling about and you were like, covering your eyes like you were a
I
vampire
hated
about
that.
to get burned by the
Yeah.
sun. So yeah, I know that. I remember those days.
That's like
Yeah.
walking out of a session at 11 o'clock in the morning, man. And
Yeah.
what am I doing? How many times I left? You must know Bobby Nathan's place, Unique. You were right on the street.
Sure.
How many times I left there and I'm out, like, And, am I going to get a speeding ticket because I'm trying to get home before the sun comes up? I don't know. Okay, so that's a great one, The Warrior.
Yes.
Now the set list comes out. You're not so happy to see this song. Don't ever want to play this song again. It doesn't matter why. What is that song?
Oh my God, I'm gonna get myself in trouble here.
You won't.
Nobody's watching.
Someday, some way.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
No, it's an amazing song. It's super well written. Marshall is a genius writer,
He
player,
is.
performer. I mean, his stuff is like second to none. But that song, I still hear it in my sleep. It's as it's kind of it's so cute to the point where it could give you a cavity. And
Oh yeah, I know.
And,
I know.
We have
I
had
get it.
23
Yeah.
people say brown-eyed girl.
Yes, we've had 23.
Oh, all right. Well, not being a cover guy. I mean, my mind went to, okay, if I was a cover guy, it would have to be Freebird or
Yep.
or Stairway to Heaven or Smoke on the Water. One of those songs that,
And that's just from Saturdays at Sam Ash.
That's right. Oh yeah. No, we were brutal. We'd get away with that shit because, the funny thing is you guys will appreciate this. We'd be like, it was like every day there was like the day before Christmas. It was not a wide store, and everybody be at the counter like it was a deli. Who's next? And we'd all be like such wise asses. Who's buying today? Who's got money? And you kid, I want to see. I said, go back to your local music store on the island or in Jersey, play it, bug the shit out of them. And when you got cash, come back here and we'll sell it cheaper. Who's next? And it wasn't just me. That's just the tone of.
Oh, believe me, I know way too much about Sam Ash. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I just talking to Carrie Ash day before yesterday. We are still the best of friends.
Sammy's ex-wife.
Yeah, Sammy's
Okay,
ex-wife.
cool.
Yeah.
cool.
And she, well, listen, it is what it
Yeah,
is.
we
And now
love
the
her.
kids
She
are in
is
there.
so freaking funny.
So
Yes,
she's
yes,
like
yes,
Mrs.
yes.
Maisel on steroids.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it sounds like the Sam Ash in the city was like, hey,
Yeah. Well, we'd have, and of course I knew Sammy. I still know Sammy. I see his posts on Facebook all the time. But we had Richie. Richie worked out of our
I
store.
loved Richie.
yeah.
So Richie, who was the Prince of Darkness before Ozzy was the Prince of Darkness. Honestly. He'd come in and, Richie was a good guitar player, and he'd be out at tracks or, wherever he was. And sometimes he'd make no bones about it. He'd come right from the clubs. And, but he was great. He was awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was, they're still, still relevant and still,
Still
going.
going
Absolutely.
strong. That's right.
All right. So now this is one of those, cerebral questions. You're a drummer by trade. You play guitar,
Uh-huh.
and I'm guessing probably some keyboards, maybe, or bass, whatever.
A little bit of bass.
But if you could play any instrument other than the ones you know how to play and absolutely shred at it, doesn't matter whether it's the glockenspiel or temple bells, what would it be?
I think, I appreciate it. I try to appreciate everything. The guys that are really good, like xylophone players, that always blew me away. But I gotta say, because I've never done it on stage, and I'm not a guitar player. I write, you can show me something or I could figure it out. I might not be correct, but I'd have to say probably the guitar or the bass, because I never did that on stage, and I know in my mind I have all the moves and everything.
I totally
Yeah.
get. Believe me, I'm still working on my vibrato.
I have to ask you a question. Are you facing the sunset because you have such a glow to you?
No.
No, that's just
The
came from
lighting? You
came
have
from my
great
mom and
lighting.
dad. No, I actually, because I didn't want it to be dark in here, I have a light right here. So that's
Yeah.
Great shot. It
It
looks like
is.
it looks like the constant sunset.
It looks like
It's
the
great.
golden hour. Yeah.
Yeah, it
well,
really does.
Yeah.
yeah.
Very
See,
good.
people, the sun never goes down in Florida.
That's
just
right.
saying. All right, now for the big one. This
Okay.
Okay.
and I love this. This is my, because get all kinds of answers to this. And don't forget about Free for All Friday, man. Even if you can pop in any Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Angus was telling me about it, and I'm definitely going to.
Yeah, and we're
Definitely going to
it's
hang
fun.
with you guys.
It's every
And
Friday.
the
so.
stories, just it's the big hang.
Cool. All right.
This is the personal hang. That's the woe hang.
Nice. And
So,
it's the same time as
yeah,
this
same
showtime.
time, but you
7
can come in
o'clock.
anytime. You don't have to be in at 10 after. You can come in at 7:30. Hey, I'm downtown having pizza. Jealous.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Very good.
So, all right. So here it is, the big one. If you could play one show with anybody or any group of guys, living or dead, who would it be?
Ooh. My gosh. I don't know, man. I'd have to. Not that I would want to bump him out of the gig, but I'd have to say the Beatles. I was too young, obviously, to go through it the first time around. So I've read everything, so I would have loved to have seen it in real time. So I'm just not seeing it through the eyes of history, so to speak. But they, I was late to the party because I was younger, of course. But geez, I was like early 70s. Like I remember, like Hard Day's Night was the first record I bought with my own money. My mom took me to the music store and I bought it. And I would go to my grandmother's and I'd take the record with me and I'd put it on. And I just remember like standing on her bed, faking playing guitar to the Hard Day's Night soundtrack. And I think if I had to say anything, that's at least knee-jerk reaction, it would be them.
No
so
problem.
you would
man.
play guitar in
Yeah.
the Beatles.
Yeah, you could be.
That's a good question. Back then, again, probably because it was the easiest thing to mimic on her bed. Probably. I mean, look, who doesn't want to play with Ringo? So
There you go. Hey,
Zach.
let me
Zach
tell you.
doesn't want to play with Ringo. Zach. But he plays. I don't even know if he's still doing the tour, Zach.
Yeah, no, he is for sure.
Yes.
My buddy is their LD. He's definitely still doing it. Last time I saw him a couple of years ago, he's just amazing. He's great.
Yeah.
I think he's playing all electric at this point. That's what I'd heard. I think on this last tour, he's actually all electric. I think he's got them built into the shells, so the audience, they look like real shells, real drums.
Wow.
But I think pads and cymbals are all electric.
Oh, wow. I've
I've heard
get
that.
away with that with the Who.
Well, I think if it's loud enough and Townsend can hear it, I think probably great, because Pete's always had an issue with his hearing, and
I know a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's probably not as loud on stage, which I can only imagine that Pete would probably like, because he's got hearing issues.
Well, when Zach plays with the Who, he sits behind that plexiglass
Yeah, they got him
thing.
Right. Of course.
I mean, I can't imagine. Can you imagine playing with Whistle and using the pads? That would
John would be throwing his bass at the drums.
He would.
I used to. I certainly didn't know him well, but he was really good friends with 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 Manny's, with the family.
Oh, I believe me. I know. I
Yeah,
know.
and he'd always be on the block. And my best friend, my buddy, unfortunately, he's no longer with us, Billy Hilfiger, Tommy's younger brother. Tommy, we were roommates. Billy worked at Manny's. I worked at Sam Ash. We both kind of came up together. We both moved to New York together. But John took a liking to Billy, and he'd always come in and he'd hang. Of course, he'd hang with those guys. I think they'd go to lunch. From what Billy said, they'd come back from lunch a little altered.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was always a fun guy. And I remember a couple of times there's that Irish bar across the street next to the parking garage.
Irish,
Yeah.
yeah.
There were a couple of times he'd be in there with us, because not every night, but when at 6:00 when all the stores closed, it was like high school. Everybody would like pour out of the stores, and if there's something going on, everybody would just migrate over to the Irish bar. And there were a couple of nights Entwistle would come in and hang with the boys, and it was fun.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he loved that.
He loved that Irish
He
pub.
loved hanging
Yep.
at that place.
Yeah. He was a cool
He
guy.
would close that place down.
Yeah, he would. Believe me, we can't even go down that path, or we'll never
He
come
would
back.
Richie
But-
Ash that place.
Yeah.
Yes, he would. Yes, he
Yes, he
would.
would. Yeah. And man, listen, this has been a blast. Really fun having you. And
Absolutely.
I hope you'll come in on any Friday,
Yeah, now,
anytime.
one of our regular viewers said that you would be a great addition to Free for All Friday. So,
Okay.
I'll make sure you get the good invitation from Angus, and
Okay. Fantastic.
seeing you again, man.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. Guys, it's been a pleasure.
Hey,
Thank you
great
very
to
much
see
for
you.
having me.
bye, Frankie.
Yeah, bye, Frankie.
Frankie's snoozing. So, but I'll tell him when he wakes me up. When he wakes me up, and he wants to go play in a little while. I'll tell him.
He's
that you
very
guys-
cute.
He's a good
nice.
boy.
Yeah, he's very good.
All right, take care, man.
All right, guys. God bless.
On Friday.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah,
that
that
was
was great,
great.
man. And we didn't even talk about drums, really.
Well, because he said that,
'Cause I wanted to ask him about the
he's
DW
more into the
stuff.
business now.
But he was but he was talking about the recording customs, and I remember that's like what Anton used to play with Letterman. Remember that blues set?
Well,
where-
when he comes in on a Friday, you'll have to
Yeah,
talk to him about it.
to be continued.
Yeah.
Absolutely to be
Yeah, and
continued.
he's right across the state from us.
Yeah. So I thought, from the view that he had, I was wondering if you could see us.
I don't know, but he had a great light. That was,
Yeah.
we have to find out what kind of light that is.
It's probably a lamp.
A lamp?
I don't know. It could be some kind of
Well,
light.
Richard says, great guest,
You don't
chock
like
full of music.
My light's no good. You don't like my light?
Your light is good, but his made him look really tan.
Well, I can make me look really tan.
There you go. Well, you need to do that.
How about that?
Because you look like one of the people at Winter Nam.
Oh, shit. Well, listen. Okay.
All right, well,
So.
tomorrow night, Anything Goes Wednesday.
Oh, anything goes Wednesday. So you know what that means. It means anything goes.
That's right.
So if I don't see you in the future, I'll see you in the pasture.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, kids.